Hello from Dortmund. As you can see, we are a few here. Guys, make some noise. I hope everybody has something to drink. And we know that most of you are actually out there watching us live on YouTube or LinkedIn, or you watch it whenever you want, tomorrow or the day after, just as long as you keep yourself informed, because this is the prelude for the next week big actual first session of Basecamp. So what's the goal today? Today, I want to show you what it actually is that we do within Basecamp, what the challenges are that we may work on. And yeah, as a representative of all of you there watching, you guys can ask me all questions that you may have. And we hope with that we also answer the questions that you out there may have. Hopefully, we get enough people together to, at the end of the day, get our challenges filled and get good stuff happening. I can actually check some comments. Hey, Patrick, esports manager, thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, I can actually see the comments on YouTube and I think also on LinkedIn. So if you've got a question, may also post it on YouTube or LinkedIn or wherever you watch it. If you watch the recording, feel free to send us a mail or at or something else, just as long as we can also find you there. Now, with that, no further ado, I jump into a presentation. And if anything I say doesn't make any sense, I have you as my guardrails. You just jump in, stop me from talking nonsense. Now, let's add my presentation to the stage. And let's get going from here. Here we are. So, obviously, this is a very interesting edition of the Basecamp. Can I actually get that on full screen? There we go. Apparently not. Oh, well, if it is full screen, oh, good. So Basecamp, it's actually the first time that we call it Basecamp. We have run this program more than 30 times. It originally was called Punch Out Tech, as we are the Founders Fight Club, so we punch out a tech product. Similarly, later on then it was called Boot Camp, but then we thought that really sounds more like some military style camp, and so we actually ended up at the term Basecamp, because from here you get started on your entrepreneurial journey. Maybe because you solve a challenge that we have brought to this particular Basecamp for you, or you have brought your very own thing that you want to develop. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we have compiled a program that over an innovation sprint of 8 weeks actually lets you know what you need to do in order to develop a really cool startup. So we're doing this as the Sport Tech Hub Dortmund. The Sport Tech Hub Dortmund, our goal here is to make Dortmund the best place in the world to start your sport or health-related tech startup. We are a virtual community as much as we are on site in Dortmund. We'll also host some meetups in Dortmund, some meetups in Munich, where I come from. And we are virtual first. So wherever you watch us from Brazil to Timbuktu, you can join. And this is our other goal with this. This is a kickoff to actually building this community of sport and health tech enthusiasts that then in turn will actually hopefully develop great products together. We'll do our very best to actually not only have you build a product, but bring it to market. And when I say we, I may also, for the one or the other of you, tell you who we are actually, the Founders Fight Club. We have been in business for more than 11 years. We have been a startup ecosystem player for more than 20 years. We know many venture capitalists, many people that have built fantastic businesses. We have a lot of practical know-how. My co-founder, Birgit, for instance, in the Founders Fight Club, built such companies as Holiday Insider Design Offices or Immo Scout, who some of you may use to actually find your apartment or place. So we know what we're talking about. We see on average about 2,000 to 3,000 startups per year because we curate the startup and innovation areas of leading trade shows such as IAA Mobility. For sports, maybe more relevant ISPO, but also high-tech and deep-tech shit such as the Hannover Messe or World of Quantum. So we know what we're talking about if we want to tell you this is how you get from an idea to an actual business that fulfills whatever purpose you set to it. Throughout the program, we learned that there are businesses that may not actually make any money, and that's good for the first couple of years. We differentiate between what is a startup and what is something where you maybe build an SME, what is something you build for purpose, and what is something you build for money and an actual investment vehicle. So we're going to cover all of that moving forward. But today, we actually want to tell you what the Basecamp is going to be. So maybe let's highlight some differences. You may have been part of a hackathon where you take 2 days to punch out a solution. A lot of the times, those solutions are not really feasible. So you punch something out over a startup weekend in 48 hours, sleep very little, and don't actually have time to reflect or time to learn. So while I love hackathons, I find our program a bit more sustainable. Since it goes over 8 weeks and it only demands really maybe 1 or 2 hours from you per week, leaves you enough downtime to actually think about what you're developing there. Some people actually try to invest way more time into the project, which we also like, but it's not compulsory to get there. So then you maybe know seed-based accelerator programs where you go from an idea to something that may come up in a pitch competition, and then you may actually get some funding associated to that. We are more similar to that. However, with those seed accelerators, you more often than not bring your very own idea. And I can tell you, most ideas suck. It is not bad. My ideas suck as much as other ideas. However, this is why we actually provide challenges to you that have undergone some testing. There are investors that think that the idea may be good. There are committees or cities or brands that think that idea may actually be of use and have some purpose. So we've researched those challenges. With that being said, feel free to build your own business. You can actually, we've had it in the past that people have, on one hand, solved our challenge, while on the other hand, also built their own business idea on the side by applying the exact same principles that we're going to tell you over the next 8 weeks. And then obviously there are crowd innovation, meetups, platforms, and there is some synergy with that, because hopefully you all meet. We have a virtual system that as of next week, we invite you to our very first session. That is where not only I or an expert in a specific field or a seasoned founder will tell you things, but it is set up on the event platform Remo, where you also have little network tables where you can meet within your groups or do some speed dating to actually connect with each other from wherever you tune into the session. And hopefully find an actually really cool community. Because if you have just shown up to this show over here, you've tuned in virtually, one thing unites all of you, you're actually interested in innovation. And to be honest, if you go to the birthday party of your cousin, how many others in your family think like you? Typically, innovation people, techies, are a breed of a specific kind. And we hope to all connect you in order to bring your unique talents to the table. I know that there are some athletes here. I know that there are some seasoned founders here. I know that there are some techies here. And if we get you all together to work on the same idea, we actually get significantly better outcome. So what is ahead of you? We have a 7-week program that works. Here are actually the German terms on the slide, but they're very straightforward. It's also no rocket science. We haven't invented lean startup. We haven't invented agile innovation. It's just the very best and the very most useful concepts that we try to relay each week for you to progress. We start out next week with an ideation workshop. We look at things at the 3 pillars of actually sound business model innovation and sound ideation. Then in the next week, we'll be looking at persona design. The market is always right. Let's make sure we get the market right. Then we work on the unique value proposition that goes hand in hand with showing the difference between a minimum viable product and a minimum lovable product. From there on, in week 4, we already go into prototyping and designing a product roadmap that we then want to validate. And with that validation, that means others tell you their idea about your idea. We actually want to iterate. We want to develop the product further, because that is the cycle of development. You have an idea, so you ideate, then you validate, and then you iterate based on that. You do that in circles until the idea becomes super cool. And at the end of the day, we hope to get an informed thesis about the holy grail of startup land, which is the product market fit. Do I actually build something that the market wants? To be honest, we much more come to a problem solution fit, because in these 8 weeks, we really try to develop something that is unique, that has IP, that is interesting, that's just not a copycat. But then, and here comes the cool thing, we will be having a final event, also again hybrid. And if you decide after that event you actually want to turn your idea into a reality, you not only have my help and my network's help of the Founders Fight Club, you also have the entire help of the city of Dortmund, represented by Sport Tech Hub, Sport Tech City, and all of our friends here. So we want, at the end of the day, to maybe sit there in summer and already have you with a prototype in your first pilot projects. That is new. That is something where we never had so much backing from the get-go to actually turn this into something. So how do we get there? Every week on a Monday, we are going to have a webinar similar to this over here, but then we'll actually meet in our communal space where you also can meet with each other in your groups, where I'll just do a quick presentation, 10 to 15 minutes, about the topic of the week, and I'll also give you one significant exercise. So we have a virtual town hall on the specific topic on Monday every week. Then I'll also be offering office hours. So if you want to have a bit more of a deep dive with me or some other mentors we have in the program, you can actually meet them online, talk to them about your idea, and get hands-on advice. And then we have one deliverable per week. And if you are part of a team that delivers that one deliverable per week, then you advance through the 7 weeks. You can, though, in the meantime, you can actually join 2 projects. You can, ask friends to join in week 3 or 4. We are totally open, as we're also building a community along the way. That all being said, you'll also get a certificate from the Founders Fight Club that we have trained you in lean startup and agile innovation, but you only get that certificate if you actually make it through the entire 8 weeks and you have been part of a group that has delivered the one deliverable. There are also some optional deliverables every week, but that is the core, which is why we know that without 1 to 2 hours of work per week, we actually get you through the program. And based on the feedback that we've received, we can judge this on 3 axes. First, are you having fun? If you're not having fun, why invest your time? Do you learn something that is useful? Is number 2. And do you meet interesting people? And typically we get really good scores on that. Yeah. Are you going to have the next $1 billion idea? I don't know. You don't know. Yeah. But we'll see how it gets there. But the minimum we can do is that once you've concluded through that, you know how to validate your own ideas and how to turn this into something that can be pitched to a pilot client, to a possible collaborator, or maybe even to an early stage investor. And so you don't hear that only from me, because who am I? Yeah, we'll also get people involved that actually do this for a living. We have Eric, who's actually with us here in the viewing, but he's in a train. Otherwise, we'd also get him on camera here as well, who is a VC with Stux. Stux is one of my favorite VCs because they're early stage, they're very founder friendly, but you'll learn more about them. We also have Simon from Neotech Ventures, very early stage VC in Cologne. I'll also be telling you, well, if I judge an early stage business concept, this is what I typically look for. This is my red flag. This is what I try to avoid. We're going to have very honest conversations with them. And then, since we have done the startup area of the ISPO, one of the world's leading sports trade shows, we have founders that have been there, done that. So we have Ophir coming in from London, who's developed a sensor for a shoe. We have the founders of Abler, who have competed very well in this year's ISPO. They do club management software, and they tell you what to expect if you start a business in this environment. And we get many more on the way. So we're going every Wednesday to have a webinar for you to talk to the people who are actually living what you hopefully be developing. Let's have a quick look at the challenges. And, as I said, put all your comments into LinkedIn or into YouTube, and I'll look at them in a moment, because right now I can't change screens. But we'll be answering all questions, and we won't conclude this year. But what are the challenges that we have come up with? And if you already say to yourself, I really like that challenge, I also like this challenge, that next week we have set everything up virtually, so you meet based on the challenge that you choose. And then you hopefully, naturally, organically develop into a team of 2 or more people that will be solving the challenges as we go along through the 8 weeks. So let's start with challenge number 1, the pop-up workout finder. You can read that slide yourself as all of the other 7, but let me maybe just tell you what this is about. Every city comes with a unique offering of sports, especially outdoor. There are basketball courts, there are soccer fields, there are maybe pickleball spaces. But we know there is no one stop to actually get an overview about the entire offering. So why not change that? Why not have one access point to the city of Dortmund where we can easily find all free, paid, maybe voluntary giving spaces where we can meet and do some movement together, take care of our health. It is quite straightforward. It's actually not so difficult to build, but I'm sure that it will be very useful. And, I'm certainly aware of brands who'd love to sponsor a model such as that. Next challenge, corporate healthfluencer program. So we have just had an entire year, 2 years in corporate health. And funny enough, there are in larger companies, there are so-called, corporate health specialists that do betriebliche Gesundheitsförderung oder betriebliches Gesundheitsmanagement. This is a very unique thing in Germany because every employer can actually dish out 600 euros as part of the salary package that don't attract as much Arbeitgeberkosten, employer costs to them. And though they're often only there for large corporates because they have departments within their HR to do that. If you look at an SME, it's not necessarily the HR department that does the exact same work. It's Ralph from marketing who registers the entire company for the company run. So we want to activate these guys in the small and medium companies and show them all the offers there are to actually make your team fitter, better, healthier along the way and actually become a better company doing that. Then this is actually Stick's challenge. Eric, I hope I will transport that all right for you. The smart stadium exit. I'm sure all of us have good memories and maybe some challenging memories of the soccer championships that we have even had in this region, or when you go to a soccer match over the weekend and an entire city closes down because it's really difficult to have proper event traffic flows and actually help a municipality to deal with that traffic better. But based on AI metrics, we can actually become much better at guiding a fan to their sports location and back and doing all of that with not hopefully having the city local traffic overflow on the street or in public transport. So how can we make it better? I don't want to sit in a traffic jam going to a sport event for 3 hours. That's not a good use of my time. Neither it is of yours. So let's solve that. Another very interesting area of sports, obviously, is parasports. So people that are in some way or another, maybe not physically, typically enabled to do something like basketball and jump because they have no legs. They need to have a wheelchair. But why not have all the sensors that we can already use in non-parasport activities and actually put them onto the machine? There's so much opportunity for sensors, for information gathering, because all of these athletes already have a specific device. And to be honest, I've been known to say that I think Paralympic sports is the biggest growth opportunity ever if we'd enhance that. Who wouldn't say that, playing basketball with rocket-driven wheelchairs wouldn't be way more fun? Who knows? Or bionic legs that make you run 200K. I don't know, but it's certainly an area that is super interesting. So why not put some thought into it, how we can actually create something better there? Prevention and skill check kiosk. If we have those public areas to do sports, let's say a park, why not have a device there that I can quickly put in my mobile phone, download an app, and actually run me through some movement exercises. Those of you who have used mobility exercises such as pliability or others know that doing a simple squat with your arms raised over your shoulders and over your head gives enough mobility insights to an app to actually compose a movement program. Let's democratize that and put that on any kiosk where there are simple setups that you can go through an entire system of movement, and you're being told by an app what you can work on and what maybe are some mobility exercises that you can use so you can move well into old age and do that as a public service. Or, I don't know, sell some bands with that or get a good sponsorship with that. Or is it something that we just do out of the good of our heart to make our city a better place? Who knows? It's you to solve that challenge, and let's see how we can commercialize that if we want to. That certainly, Court Link Try and Buy, our next challenge, is something to sell, because if you look at most sports fashion shops or sports equipment shops, they're super boring if they don't provide an experience. If I go and buy my hiking shoes, I'm going to buy them where I can actually try them out in some built-up mountain terrain, because I need to know how they feel. And this is the interesting thing with sports. We tend to now buy all of our equipment online, and then we have to resend it all because it doesn't fit. It's not the purpose. The description doesn't really match with something. But if we are in physical movement, that is an experience. So why not build basketball pop-up courts where we can test out the latest sneakers, balls, headbands, whatever, and then make the purchase decision right then and there. But we don't have to stop at basketball. Why not do this for stand-up paddling or something? Let's create pop-up experience areas that we involve large fashion brands to actually work with us on how to make those tryouts better and then engage also in commerce. I can tell you that Matti, I'm not sure if you're watching, but Matti runs all of the new startup integrations into Globetrotter, is actually a fan of the program and will also be featured on one of our shows. So that's somebody that we definitely want to get in here and ask them why they develop all these tryout areas and what that may inform for that challenge. To be honest, I couldn't decide. I'd like to do all 8 of them. This is a challenge that's also, funny enough, very close to my heart, because it shows us how we can use technology better. For those of you, I shouldn't actually be speaking on that, to be honest, because I never has a female cycled so far. Let's see where science gets us. But from what I understand, and this may be very limited, every cycle has specific influences on how you can perform and what you could actually do in terms of nutrition, of measuring your workout plan given on the stage of your cycle that you're at. Now, I don't know if Fabienne is watching, one of our lovely partners in the Founders Fight Club, who's actually just done her master thesis on that exact topic. And I'm paraphrasing here. And what I've heard is, yes, it is definitely so that the female cycle strongly correlates with physical performance ability, but it is so unique to each and every lady, girl, and woman that we can't have a one-size-fits-all approach to base recommendations on that. We can't have a workout that works for all women. I mean, why should we? Yeah. And why I love that challenge is AI to the rescue. Everything that has been very complex in the past, where we couldn't make very unique approaches to providing a solution, is new with AI. We just have to find out the algorithm, and then we can make something that where we know there's a truth, and we know it's just super difficult because it relies on very individual relation of data. Awesome. Just like on my Aura Ring, I'm measuring my sleeps, not your sleep or your sleep. So let's make it unique. And from there on, I know that there's a massive market that we can address, and it's a problem that's worthwhile solving. Last but not least, let's stay with problems that are worthwhile solving. Kids don't move that much anymore. Speaking for my own daughter, who I love dearly, however, she doesn't meet like I did on playgrounds or at sports, playing soccer or something else. These kids today meet on Roblox, and play there and exchange there. Corona has driven that way more forward. Here's a massive problem. Those kids, if they don't build muscle and bone density now, and they don't decode their genetics to actually become movement active, they are going to wreck our health system 50 years from now. Because mobility down the drain, because bone health down the drain, and we're not even speaking about all the sociological aspects that a champion's mindset and ethics set actually brings with it as well. So this is something that we have to solve, and to be honest, as a parent, I would love to get more support on that. It is super difficult to find proper sports club for my daughter in Munich, at least. We have to find something that we can actually motivate kids to move more and move more often. Maybe the answer is in connecting that to esports and physical sports in one or the other way. I know that phygital sports does great things there. We have to solve it. And again, as all of the other challenges, I find it so very interesting to solve that. To be honest, I don't think we're going to solve 8. I would hope that we get together to maybe solve 3 of those, but those 3 or 4, they will compete, they will pitch, and we'll do our very best for those teams of you who will then say, I love that idea, I want to make that a reality to help you as much as we can. Because often we run these programs for 8 weeks and then it's one and done. But here, this is also the starting to build the Sport Tech Hub Dortmund as a community. Global community. So we actually have a unique interest in making sure you guys succeed, which is why I hope you continue to share your times with us. Maybe to just give you a few examples of things that came out along the way. Obviously, as you can judge maybe from my appearance, it was also the challenge that we introduced at the time, the Smart Beard Challenge. Can't I get some oil that is spiked with nootropics, that are things that make your brain allegedly work better, and I can just rub it into my beard and therefore be more active and smarter along the way. This is what came out. We had a prototype of a landing page and actually tried to have a first sign of interest by introducing a purchase button to this landing page. And at the end of the day, we unfortunately figured out no can do, because people don't know what nootropics are. And therefore, Tiger Beard never made it to fruition. But funny enough, these days, obviously, I go shopping for beard oil somewhat more often. And now you actually see this more often, that there is rosemary scent in the oil. I think this product is still ahead of its time. Let's see when this comes to fruition. But this came out of this very stupid challenge. Why not have a smarter beard oil? And at the end of the day, it was validated. This also, just to show you, you don't need to have many technical skills to, you don't need to build in Figma. This is something, I love that challenge for a very specific reason. Obviously, it's movement and sports related. It's also corporate health related, because it was targeted towards office workers. But the team that solved that challenge, and this is how they solved it at the end of the day, this was just prototype in PowerPoint, yeah, but it's good enough to actually understand what was meant by that. And this was solved by a group of people that worked for a large bank. And the outcome that derived out of them solving the challenge, that in that group was their compliance officer, who was also in charge to decide on whether to work with startups or not. And by completing that program, she said she'll never do a startup. Way too hard, way too insecure. But what she knows now is that when she works with startups, startups are not finished. So instead of telling them, we can't work with you because you don't fulfill compliance, she learned how to speak their language, how to speak in product features, in use cases, and what to tell them so they can become compliant. And this is an outcome of our program I really enjoyed. So here you choose your exercise, you get some Lego bricks as return. With that, you can build houses or buildings. And if you build something nice, you get a free meal, you get maybe even a free holiday, or you get a plan for your office or whatever you can do. So funny enough, concept explained, easily pitchable. Here another challenge that we had in the past, office war games. And this is, I think, still very relevant today. But to be honest, I think that challenge by now is 8 years, 9 years old. And this was how they solved it. They actually didn't go into prototyping, and this was a fully playable game at the end of the day. I'm just showing you some screens. You chose your office hero, and then you work through like an old style click role play based game, and you ended up at a by solving challenges at a specific core that actually tells you whether you are being replaced by a robot, or the courses you can take as part of the corporate program that help you to not be replaced by a robot, and instead actually get a course and be a worthwhile human worker in the future. We were much advanced 8 years ago. I think it is that challenge is as relevant today as it was 8 years ago, maybe more so given AI. Now, this is the Holy Grail. This is not from us. This is based on a very famous book, Product Market Fit Pyramid, from Dan Olson. We actually took a lot of his models out there because it is still how we can see what actually makes a startup tick and successful. And this is a picture that we show over and over and over again. You can find it online as well. And this is where we try to get you along the program. Will we be successful? We'll see. Yeah, but I hope you'll have fun. You'll meet cool new people and you learn something useful. And then I think we do good stuff together. So with that being said, our first session on ideation will be next week, 16th of February at 6 p.m., same as today, online. This will be virtual only. We won't have it hybrid. So if you've registered with us via Eventbrite, we'll send out an email follow-up tomorrow and send you the link of where to register to watch that. Also, if you are watching us right now just on YouTube, because you may got here through our meetup groups in Frankfurt, Hamburg, Munich, or Cologne, please, we'll also list the events there in the group. But if you could follow Founders Fight Club on LinkedIn or Instagram, which is where we post the information to that event as well. What is going to happen at that event? We're going to, hopefully by then, all of you know what type of challenges you're interested in. And then we'll have a quick 10-minute presentation on the week's content. And from there, you hopefully already meet in your challenges. And you can already start working on the first deliverable of the week, which is going to be an ideation canvas, a problem framing canvas, which we'll provide to you. As a blueprint, you'll all get a board in a whiteboard solution called Mural. You may be knowing Miro or similar alternatives. Every group gets a mural where you basically put in the week's exercise, and then we'll work on week by week by week by week. So with that being said, we're pretty much done for the day. I hope this was quick and useful. And I'm going to check in a moment for all questions that may come in via the comments on StreamYard. And yeah, for now I have the added advantage to have you guys here. And you may already have a question. And with that, we advance a bit more. Any questions?
First of all, a big applause.
What for? Everything clear, or was that just too much of a content dump, so you needed time to think?
I do have one question. The start of this program will be in this week or next week? Sorry.
What's your name?
Zuhair.
Zorail just asked whether the start of the program is today or next week, or this week or next week. It is next Monday. Today is the kickoff. So maybe you already decide on a challenge together and decide to work on that together. That is doable today, but the first exercise we'll send out next week.
My question is, consider about like new teams, right? Since it's online, how can I find like new guys? Because we know each other before, and I want to meet more people. How can I change from online when I want to meet new teams and people and projects?
Such a great question. What is your name?
Winchu.
Winchu?
Winchu, yes.
That is, I've certainly botched the pronunciation, but I'll work on it. Winchu just asked us where to meet online, especially in order to meet new people. So next week, you have the opportunity to meet everybody who attends. So it is a communal space. You have tables, just as we have here, and you just hop from table to table to table and meet the other guys there. And then we're also going to have a community platform. Next week, I'm going to ask you, we have our own community platform on beta mode. We can set up a Discord server, we can set up a Slack workspace, or we set up a WhatsApp community. On whatever you like most, we're going to set it up. And so from there on, we'll hopefully also get you guys covered. But it is of importance to us because I know that we have people from all over Germany, maybe internationally, joining the program, and you guys should connect and meet each other.
Thank you.
Cool? Let's jump into the comments here if there are any questions. I don't see any. That's good. Maybe. Let's hope. So with all of that being said, I'm closing this here. And I'm going to send out, obviously, the link to this recording via email to everyone who's registered with us over Eventbrite, because there I have your email address. If I don't have your email address, I can't send you an email. So next week also, we have an actual platform for the entire program where we can, where you register once and then you get all of the event information every week. And then it's much easier to be organized. And you also there have an opportunity to comment. So let's see where we go. You know, we have done this program with 80 people. I have done this program with 2 people. I can't tell you what was better, but I do know that I would hope that we maybe get 10 to 20 people across the finish line in about 3 to 4 projects. Then I'd be super happy. Cool? With that being said, we're going to party hard here in Dortmund. And to you on the screens, thank you so much for spending time with us. If you have any questions following up on that, just let me know. And with that, I think I'm closing the stream. Thank you so much for being here today. And I hope to see you next Monday. Thank you.